Hi everyone, this is take 3 of the video of the Greek heroes. In this video we're going to focus on the heroes Perseus, Heracles, Jason, and Theseus. And like I said, they all fit the archetype of the hero, but for a couple of them at least, you could definitely make arguments that they fit other archetypes. But for the purposes of this video, and those of you who are in my class for the purposes of the essay, we're going to stick to them being heroes as a basis of comparison. And so we're going to focus on their strengths and their weaknesses. And again, not everything I say is gospel law, but it's at least a place to go from for those of you who are looking for some inspiration or some help with your analysis. So let's start with the strength of the hero. And all 4 of these characters we can state almost unequivocally is that they're all courageous. And yes, some of them demonstrate perseverance and honor as well, but you cannot doubt that all 4 of them are courageous. It's just the source of their courageousness is slightly different for each. Because you have 2 demigods. You have Perseus and Heracles, who are both demigods, and then you have 2 mortals in Jason and Theseus. So right there, you take those 4 and you divide them in half as to the source of their courageousness. Perseus and Heracles have, behind their courage is the confidence of knowing that they're part God. And here, these 2, Jason and Theseus, do not have that. So then we're going to break it up some more. Perseus, demigod, is able to be courageous because he has lived his life under the protection of Zeus. His mother, was locked in the casket, or locked in the room that Zeus came into, and Zeus looked down on them and, sprinkled Zeus dust, and that's how Perseus was made. And then when Danae is cast out to sea in basically the floating coffin, Zeus protects her there, and so, Perseus has lived a charmed life through the protection of Zeus, so that fuels his confidence and his courageousness throughout his story. Heracles doesn't have Zeus's protection. If anything, Zeus is like, well, nothing I can do, man. It's my wife. Hera's mad that, I made you, so there you go. But Heracles also has superhuman abilities. He has super strength, he's wise, but it's really his strength that is able to give him courage. The fact that he is able to go out and complete the 12 labors is he's a superhero, essentially. Whereas if he were just a mortal man like Jason or Theseus, he probably doesn't survive at least one of those trials. So his courageousness comes from his, his super abilities. Then we have the 2 mortals. We have Jason and Theseus. Jason's courageousness comes from his ability to charm his way out of a situation. And this is also part of his hubris, but he's smooth-tongued, and he can kind of talk his way out of or through situations. So his confidence or his courageousness comes from his natural charm and his ability to talk to people. And like I said, when we get to the weaknesses, that's also his hubris. So Jason may be the best of these 4. He's definitely the best tragic hero, since we know how Jason's story ends. Of the 4. Theseus, also mortal. He's very, very bold. He's just not afraid of anything. And so his courageousness comes from that wanting to prove himself. He grows up, unlike Perseus and Heracles, who don't grow up with a father. Their father is a god. Theseus grows up without a father, because his father forgot about him and went to another city. So Theseus has a chip on his shoulder, and that's where his courageousness comes from. He's bold and he wants to prove himself. He keeps wanting to prove himself. Which also as with most mortal heroes, is also his weakness, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So all four of them are courageous, and there's no doubt about that, but each one's source of courageousness and how it's manifested throughout their myths is just slightly different, and that's an interesting distinction between the four. If we were doing a deep character analysis of any of these four, we would want to really hone in on that source of their courageousness as telling us something about their inner working, their psychological profile. Okay, let's move on to the weaknesses. Now, there are only two to choose from. There's overconfidence and hubris. And again, these heroes are divided. Now, all of them show a little bit of the one that I haven't chosen, but I chose these ones because they show up the most in their stories. Now, Perseus of the four is the hardest one to find flaws in. His weakness is overconfidence. This shows up at 2 points at his stepfather, soon-to-be stepfather's wedding ceremony. He promises to defeat Medusa and bring the head back without knowing anything about what's going to go on. He doesn't have any special equipment. And then later on, when he's on his way back and he stops in Ethiopia and rushes in to save Andromeda without knowing what he's going to do, it's almost by luck that he's there and has the head of Medusa to stop the giant serpent that is destroying his town, or trying to eat Andromeda. It's also interesting in here that there's warning of hubris. In Cassiopeia, who's the mother of Andromeda, Cassiopeia's hubris is her pride in her beauty, and that causes the goddess to send the sea serpent to destroy Ethiopia and and eat the people until, Perseus shows up and saves them all. So Perseus is overconfident. But again, he's a little too perfect to be true. He's also like the oldest of these four heroes. So, the storytelling would not have been refined the way it is with Hercules, Theseus, and Jason. Heracles suffers from hubris. Now, hubris, let's talk about the difference between overconfidence and hubris. Overconfidence is when you are so sure of yourself you rush in to do something without thinking about it. Hubris is pride, so it's almost it's overconfidence, but snarky, I guess. You're so confident in your abilities that you're kind of smarmy about it. You have this pride about you. And think of it this way. If somebody is overconfident, you would say, wait, slow down, what are you doing? Whereas if somebody has hubris, you would say, wait, slow down, shut your mouth, quit talking, okay? Shh, you're going to get us in trouble because you're being snarky and your hubris is going to kill us. Whereas overconfidence is like, no, come back, stop, wait. Oh, there he goes, right? So it's kind of an action versus inaction thing. So Heracles suffers from hubris, and the first time is when he meets the two women when he's trying to figure out what path of life, this metaphor, are you going to choose virtue or are you going to choose pleasure? Well, pleasure is the easier life, but he, oh goodness, no, not he and his pride. He's going to choose virtue, right? And notice, even though Heracles himself does not physically suffer, the hubris causes a downfall. So choosing the virtuous life leads to him having to go through the 12 labors and to go through all the other trials he goes through. So that hubris gets in the way of him having the life that Perseus had, essentially. He shows hubris in killing his music master. He gets very angry at him, so that, he also shows some hubris when he sets the town of Thebes free from their tribute. his pride causes him to say, this isn't right, let's stand up for ourselves, men. Gathers these kids and goes and defeats the city that's keeping Thebes under tribute. And it leads to a fall because it's from rescuing Thebes that he gets his wife Megara, who he later kills in a fit of rage caused by the goddess Hera. So again, your hubris typically leads to a fall in Greek tragedies or Greek stories of any kind. And finally, the hubris, which almost literally kills him, is with Atlas. When Atlas is like, oh, this is probably too heavy, you couldn't hold it. He's like, what? I can hold up anything. And holds it up, and it almost crushes him. But luckily, he talks his way out of it. So Heracles has hubris. Jason also has hubris. And like I said before, his hubris is also his source of confidence and courage. It's his manner of speaking, right? So when he comes back for the throne of Thessaly, he chooses gentleness over force, right? He's, no, we're not going to, we are here as simple travelers, and we would like blah, blah, blah. He chooses gentleness. And so the king of Thessaly is able to talk his way out of giving up the throne right away and being like, oh, well, if you just go get this golden fleece, everything, I will give you the throne. So he's manipulated because of his hubris, and his not taking action at that point, not being, being a man and standing up, leads to, he goes to wherever the fleece is. Sorry, I can't think of it right now. But that's where he meets Medea and all the things that happen because of Medea to him. So there's his hubris. Later on, what do I have? I have accepts challenge on page 85. This must be, sorry, this is very unprofessional of me to do this, but you're here seeking my advice, so who am I to deny you is waiting. Let's see. Oh, he accepts the challenge of, in order to get the golden fleece. So he's got to do all the stupid tasks, right? He's got to plow the field and sow the teeth and all of that. Again, when King Aeetes tells him this, his friend says, what? Get out of here. We're not... And the king gets mad. And so Jason says to him, my lord, bear with us. We have no such desires to take over the throne. For who would cross the wide seas for another man's good? Fate has sent us. And the bidding of a presumptuous king, great is your power, and your name shall be published abroad in Hellas. So he then is told that he has to do all these things in order to get the golden fleece. And Jason was abashed by this. He was taken back. This is a chance for action. But instead, he looks at the king and he says, my lord, you've set me a hard task, but I accept the contest, even though it be my doom to die. Necessity brought me here, and I must do my part. Or you could just cut his head off and go get the fleece. That's an option. But no, you got to be, oh, well, I am a man of words and bravery. I accept the challenge of doing this ridiculous thing, right? So his hubris, and it comes back to bite him, because now he has to go to Medea for help. And again, he could still escape the hubris that he is going to get with Medea and him falling out of love and apart, and Medea killing the children. That is the end to the hubris. He could get out of that. All Medea asks him is to remember him when he leaves. And he's like, no. You're going to come with us, and we're going to get married, young lady. You and I are going to get married. You want to look at him and do, shoot, shut up. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? But he doesn't. His hubris, it leads to his emotional downfall later in his life. Theseus, overconfidence. Definite overconfidence. See, he's overconfident when he finds the sandals, the sandal, there's only one, and the sword, right? He's overconfident in that he's going to go to Athens, right? And claim his throne and find his father. And he's also going to go on foot, no boat for him. And there's robbers, I'm going to smash them like Heracles. So definite overconfidence, and off he goes, and he is successful. That's the thing about heroes. They're not heroes if their overconfidence or their hubris leads to their death. Then they're just idiots. So there's a fine line between hero and idiot in not only Greek literature, but pretty much everywhere. It's a fine line between stupidity and bravery. So later on, more overconfidence. You know what struck me? Is that he shows up in Athens, and King Aegeus is there, and he never tells Aegeus that he's his son. He just kind of like hangs out and waits for somebody to notice his shoe and his sword and be like, oh my gosh, you're my son. Be like, don't you recognize this sword, man? Now, I understand that Medea was there. You know, she comes back, she gets taken off in a dragon-fueled chariot at the end of the Jason story to Athens and marries Aegeus. But use your words, Theseus, use your words. I am your son. I think I am your son. Does this look like your sword, Dad? But his overconfidence, oh, it'll all work out. Yeah, it's good. It's good. More overconfidence when he promises to kill the Minotaur. That's a pretty big ask. That's an ask, you know, on the level of Perseus. Now, granted, the Minotaur can't turn you into stone, but Medusa also can't tear your head apart from your body. So I feel that's even. And then finally, my favorite part of overconfidence is when he claims Poseidon as his father, which is not true, by the way. He has no relation to Poseidon at all. Claims Poseidon as his father. Minos throws the ring into the sea anyway and is like, well, let's see who's better, Poseidon or Zeus, because Minos is the son of Zeus. And Poseidon goes ahead and dives into the water, all to get Minos to stop being mean to them on the boat. That's all he did. Minos is just being mean to people on the boat. Theseus tells him to shut up, and they gets into this, well, he's got to lie. He feels he's so confident that everything's going to be okay that he just dives into the sea while praying real hard that Poseidon saves him. And sure enough, Poseidon's a nice enough guy in this story at least. You get to the Odyssey, you're not going to like him so much, but here, you know, nice guy. Lets him go. All right, so that's our 4 heroes, their strengths, their weaknesses. Hopefully that helps you with your analysis if you're having some troubles with that 3rd paragraph. Remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube page. I don't know why, but I just like having subscribers. It makes me feel like a whole person. It fills some sort of emptiness inside. Not here, not down here, but here, really, where my heart should be, is what that fills. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a pleasant evening, and I will see you around. Bye.